Yes, what's happening, people? Now, match reaction. Let's be honest. Um, Nothing game really, weren't it, for Arsenal? Um, Bit of a nothing game, bit of a boring one. And if I'm honest with you, I watched 5 games today, bits and pieces as best I could. Oh, weren't the most exciting, was it? Let's be honest. I know a lot of people will be happy if you've got Champions League. Let's try, for the sake of this, to get really excited. Unbelievable last day of the season for top five. I don't get excited about top five. I never used to celebrate Arsenal getting top four. But it seems that Chelsea fans um, have won the Champions League. The celebrations was, yeah, rather embarrassing, if I'm honest. Um, Enzo Fernandez crying. Um, I don't know why, but I don't think Real Madrid will want him now. If he cries, that's not the standards Real Madrid want. My goodness. So good news for Chelsea. They're going to keep Enzo Fernandez, who's apparently their best player. But why, goodness, crying because they come in the Champions League places. Wow. I remember that club used to win stuff, and you used to sit there thinking, my God, um, they're destroying us. Roman Abramovich must be thinking, what the hell has happened to that club? But there we go. Apparently, top five is something to cry and cheer about now. But when Arsenal did it, apparently it was banter. When Chelsea do it, unbelievable scenes. Very bizarre. I mean, they've spent £1 billion to get it as well, which is very strange. Very odd, aren't they? They're just an odd bunch, I find. Chelsea, very, very odd fan base. I used to look at them and I used to think, wow, you've got so much ambition. Absolutely so jealous of them as a club in the last 2 decades of what they've won. And they're turned into the Blue Arsenal. That's what they've done. They're accepting mediocrity. Champions League and the Conference League is something to cry about now, cheer about, celebrate, go nuts about. Very bizarre. But look, Chelsea are who they are. Arsenal today, if I'm honest with you, has made quite a lot of changes. I don't know how to sum up this season really, but there's a lot we know that's gone wrong. Let's quickly touch on the other teams today. Newcastle, how lucky are you? How lucky are you? David Moyes doing a job on Newcastle. David Moyes, yet again, proving that he is a very good manager and is one to be respected for. Doing what he's done, let's be real, with Everton previously and West Ham previously. Could he do the unthinkable and get Everton towards European football? Well, he's done it before with that club and he's done it with West Ham. I'm not saying that they're going to get into Europe next season, but if you look at the form table, Everton have improved immensely under David Moyes. And they've proven to be difficult for Newcastle today. Now, Newcastle are very lucky because we're going to talk about the next club, Villa, who, let's be real, were embarrassing. Now, I will say this, the referee is a shambles. Morgan Rogers scores a clear goal. He does not have the ball in two hands. He does let go of it. Morgan Rogers takes it out of his hands without him touching it and scores a goal. And the referee VARs it and says, no, it's not going to count, which I find bizarre, if I'm honest. I've got to be honest. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Makes absolutely no sense to rule that goal out. I don't know why they have done that. I find it absolutely incredible. However, Villa probably wouldn't have meant nothing. They went down to 10 men. Emi Martinez going into Hoyland, but stupidly, if I'm honest with you. Really, really poor back pass from, I think it was Cash. Absolute suicidal back pass. And Emi Martinez does the rest. And then they make it difficult for himself. Now, obviously, that goal that I've mentioned didn't count, but Manchester United found themselves 2 goals to the good. And that's quite embarrassing, really, for a team that's just been embarrassed by Tottenham, that's looking like it was 17th at one stage in this Premier League. Let's be real, Aston Villa should be beating them. But look, I can't talk. We didn't beat them when they were rubbish. They could have easily beat us, in my opinion. And sometimes it happens like that. So, yeah. So it's mad, really, for me. Villa, I really felt they were going to win today, and I felt like it would be other results to see what that meant for them. But them missing out alongside Forest, who I'm going to speak about next. Look, Forest, I don't think could have really lost this season. 7th place, no one had them there. I actually thought there'd be a team that would struggle in the relegation zone and fought alongside the Ipswich and Southamptons and Leicester would be probably ones to go down this season. I think Jamie Carragher and a few others, I think the media, said that Forest would struggle this season as well. They've been the overachievers. They've been the team that I did not expect. Now, Nuno, if he's then going to end up getting sacked, it is kind of ridiculous, to be honest. However, they have threw away the Champions League. And Marinakis is an ambitious guy. He's no fool. He doesn't mess around. So it's going to be quite interesting. So, look, I've got to be honest with you. I don't think it's fair to sack Nuno for getting into the Conference League, because that is an overachievement for what Nottingham Forest would have done at the start of the season. However, it wouldn't surprise me if he still went. One, because we've already seen they've had a bit of a row. And two, because let's be real, he wanted Champions League and they have done their best to throw that away. I think they've got 8 points in 8 games or something like that in the last 8. By game week 30, they were 3rd. And by game week 38, they're 7th. That is a huge fall off. They fell off bad, man. And it's a shame because I like Forest big time. But you know what? I suppose what they can do is actually look at their season and say fair play. So maybe the fans will be a bit frustrated, but they won't be disappointed by finishing 7th in the league at any point of the season. When you're 3rd, you're going to be disappointed. Your expectations change. So I get it. Chelsea, I've mentioned. I didn't think they were going to get it. I thought that was going to be a draw today. The other results didn't go the way anyway, so it didn't really matter. But Chelsea certainly, for sure. Now, if they win with... what am I trying to say? The Conference League, that's what I'm trying to say. Then they've had a good season for Chelsea's standards now. Top 4 and Conference League is where Chelsea clearly are at, because that's all I keep getting in the chat and by people and by comments is that Chelsea are doing unbelievable things by getting Champions League football and Conference League after spending £1 billion. So if that's where Chelsea are at, big up to you. I wish we were Chelsea. Okay, that's that. Tottenham, what an embarrassment. My goodness. Champions League football and they finished 17th. Has that ever happened before? No, I don't think it has. Awful. Absolutely awful. So look, top 4 or top 5, I should say, is done. Newcastle, City. I knew City would win today. So yeah, Man City, Chelsea and Newcastle added to Arsenal and Liverpool. And then obviously you've got Villa and Forest that have missed out. So that is the Europe. So race for Europe next season will consist of the top 7 and Deji. Because Tottenham somehow Champions League football after getting battered at home 4-1. It really is crazy. Probably one of the most boring, dull Premier League seasons for some time. The quality is absolutely awful. The competition is pretty good. Let's be real, in terms of anyone can kind of beat anybody. But I think it's really poor quality. I've got to be honest with you. I struggling really. When I look at the Premier League era when I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, I look at it and it just leaves everything dead in the water now. I mean, there's nobody that matches any of the players of that time other than the guys that are in their late 30s that are still playing and still considered some of the best. And I'm talking about the Van Dijks and Salahs and Kevin De Bruyne's. They're the only players that I can actually respect in this league and say, do you know what, fair play. Some of the youngsters that are coming through have still got their time to shine, like Saka's and Palmer's and, you know, Isak's and these guys that I think are going to be seen as Premier League quality players when their time is done. But right now, wow. I think there's some Premier League players that deserve a mention that are in some of the lower division teams. I think Jarrod Bowen is one of the most underrated in the league. I think he's a top player. I like Brian Mbeumo. I like Cunha. I like Eze. I think Chris Wood deserves a mention. I like João Pedro. Trying to think now who some of the other players are that deserve a mention in this team. I think Newcastle's players have been good this season. Aston Villa have got some good players. But let's be real. Palace as well. I've got to be real. I've got some really good players. But I'm starting to struggle, if I'm honest, after that. So, look, the season as a whole has not been exciting. The Premier League was won a long time ago. The 3 relegated sides were relegated a long time ago. There really only was top 5 to play for. Now, I can't get excited about that, but I can appreciate if your side's involved in it, you might actually believe it's a massive achievement. And maybe it is a huge achievement for a club like Villa to get Champions League football again. And that's why they're probably disappointed. Maybe it's a huge achievement for Newcastle, even though I think they should be getting top 4. And I said they finished 4th this season, which, funny enough, they get Champions League with it. So, look, I don't think there's any denying that the quality is gone, if I'm honest. It really is quite embarrassing. Then we come to Arsenal today, and parts of that performance was quite embarrassing as well. Getting over the line in that fashion against a side that have been absolutely abysmal in this Premier League. Trying to look now how many points they got. I think it's 11, is it? Or have they got 12? That's 12. So they've actually beaten Derbies by 1 point, which is actually quite embarrassing, if I'm honest. So the team news, obviously Raya started in goal. Neto has been pointless this season. If I'm honest with you, someone had a conversation, I think it might have even been Curtis with me, about do we actually need a goalkeeper? Because Raya's played every game and we haven't needed Neto other than one game where he looked abysmal. Do we just keep Setford or Carl Hine next season? It might be an idea, to be honest. If they're going to go and buy a goalkeeper for 25, 30 million, I'd rather not bother, if I'm honest. So he was in goal today. Couldn't really do anything about the goal, if I'm honest, from the corner. I thought it was a fairly good goal, actually, from Southampton, to be fair. We actually allowed Southampton to have quite a few chances. I didn't think we were particularly good at all. Thomas Partey started at right back again because we've got problems at right back at the moment with Ben White, Timber and Saliba. Ben White needed at centre back. Kivior played alongside him. And then Kieran Tierney got the nod at left back. Zinchenko in midfield with Declan Rice, Ethan Nwaneri, Raheem Sterling, Martinelli, Marino. So look, it wasn't something that I looked at and thought, wow, but I certainly didn't think that we were a shambles at any point. We got the win. A good goal from Martin Ødegaard for the winner. I've got to start there because I watched the game and I just said to him, please shoot. And you know what? It was actually a bullet of a shot in his left foot. It was actually a really good strike, a really good hit. And this is why I want to see him shooting more. Decisions like that, the decision making is what I want to be seeing from Martin Ødegaard. And I think there's been many times this season he's refused to shoot. And there's been many times where the killer pass is there and he's then made the wrong decision by either trying to shoot or trying to do that stupid little loft he tries to do over the defender's head. His decision-making has got to improve, in my opinion, because season upon season, I've started to see him doubt himself a little bit more in those decisions and in those positions. I'm really disappointed by his performance this season, Martin Ødegaard. But today it was a really good goal. And then I'll come to my guy, Kieran Tierney. Big up, man. Big up to him. So pleased for him. The way he celebrated there, really pleased for him. Really pleased. You could tell that he'd scored in his last game. I've always liked Kieran Tierney. And I wanted to just do a couple of minutes on him, really. And I'll tell you why. Not because he was an unbelievable player today. Not because he deserved to mention for 2 minutes. But what I think with Kieran Tierney is you get the traits I like in a footballer. Yeah. I feel like if anybody had any reason to be unsettled, to have the hump, to become unprofessional, to throw his toys out the pram, to challenge the manager and the coaching staff, it would be Kieran Tierney. And the fact that he hasn't done that after the way he's been treated here is hats off to him. He is a true ultimate professional. He is one of the players in this side that actually can say he's won trophies and got trophies to his name and CV. He's got winning mentality. Now, people laugh and say it's Celtic. When it's Celtic or Rangers, people might laugh at the quality of the league. But you know what you can't laugh at? The fact that second means nothing to them. It's either win or you failed. And that's what I like about Kieran Tierney. He's professional. He's got the mentality of let's train hard. I will do this, if I have to. I can go on loan to try and get first team football. I'll stay here on the bench. I'll train in all weather. I'll be given 100%. I don't care if you play me right wing, left wing, right back, left back. I'll give 110%. I don't know how you can't like Kieran Tierney. I don't know how anyone can say he's not been a fair signing, because for me, I look at Kieran Tierney at £22 million. And people might think that he's not had the best of careers at Arsenal, but he hasn't been a waste of money. He scored goals. He's kept us in games. He's won a trophy here. He's been reliable. He's been consistent with his games. And other than his injuries, which has been frustrating for a lot of players, not just Kieran Tierney, I think he's been a good signing. I think we'll miss his overlapping and his crossing ability. He's the only one I think that can put a ball on a plate, pinpoint crosses. I think we'll miss that. And something we'll miss is not just his versatility, but his leadership qualities on the pitch, because his communication and how vocal he is, I really like that. So I just think he deserves credit. And you know what? I wish him all the best in his next steps as a footballer. And I know that he will go back where he's loved. He will get treated properly like he deserves. And he will go and win trophies at Celtic. And you know what? I hope he does. Because I think he's an excellent left back. I think he's old school, that is very rare to find nowadays in football. And I always liked him. Back where we were a few years ago, where some of our players were needing to be gone out the door, the Mustafis and Rob Holdings and Chambers and Kalasanaks and El Nenis and these guys, Kieran Tierney was my best player. Kieran Tierney was my favourite player. And Saka and Martinelli had only just gone onto the scene, and I thought, yeah, they could be good in a couple of years. And of course, they have turned out to be. But Kieran Tierney was still my favourite player because he just epitomises everything I like about a footballer. I have to be honest. Epitomises everything I like about a footballer. So that's where I'm at. And I want to be honest with people when I say this. I will always have a fond memory of certain individuals that have left Arsenal. Whether or not they've won stuff here or not. Players that I just like. Jack Wilshere won trophies here, but I'll always have a place for him in my heart. I'll always have time for players like that who gave 110%. I'll always have no real bad words said about Alex Iwobi and Danny Welbeck because they gave 110%. They weren't the best. They certainly weren't absolute loved and adored by everybody, but I just felt like they gave 110. So I've got to look at players like that. There's players that have been top quality that have been better than Kieran Tierney in terms of Thomas Rosicky and Santi Cazorla and even Fabregas and players like that, Sanchez, that I'll always look at the Emirates era. But I can't look at Kieran Tierney and say that he was obviously in that level because he was a completely different player. But I've got nothing but love for what he's done at Arsenal. So I've got to be real. I think the guy deserves credit. I thought he got a really good send-off. He was one of the only managers that clapped when Mikel Arteta was speaking. He's always had respect. He's always been a total professional. And I'll miss players like that. I really will. I'll miss players like that. And I don't think the manager's treated him well. I don't think the manager rated him and used his attributes well enough. I don't think the manager respected the attributes that he had. And I think he deserves to go and play football where he's loved and respected. And he isn't here. He isn't here, unfortunately. So that's where I'm at with Kieran Tierney. Look, we come to some of the other players. I thought what I'd do is two things a little bit different today. Because it's the last one, because there's no This Is London tonight due to the guys being at games still and it's just too late now. We're going to do a Race for Europe show tomorrow. I thought what I'd do is I'd go through the squad at Arsenal and I'll rate them in how well I think they've been for us this season. I'll do it in order. We'll go from right to front to back. Let me bring up the squad and go through it. And I'll do manager as well, because I do believe that we need to discuss where we're at. There's been a lot this season. It's been tough. I can't lie. It really has. And if I'm honest with you, I'm quite glad that it's over. I think we all need a little bit of a break from Arsenal now. We can actually have a proper rest, 6 to 8 weeks of doing nothing but recuperation. No Champions League final, unfortunately. No Euros, no World Cup. Let's just relax. And you know what? They all need it. Rice needs it. Saliba, Saka, Havertz. These guys that are half injury prone, half fit. Gabriel Magalhaes. These guys need just to properly sit and relax now. And get ready for the pre-season. And you know what? I don't mind if we don't actually see some of those players till late July, start of August. I really don't. I only want to see them if they're 100% fit. So let's go through the Arsenal squad and give them a little bit of a season rating. We're going to start with not Pedro Neto. I always call him Pedro Neto. With Norberto Neto. No point rating him. He had one game against Girona, was absolutely embarrassing, nearly handballed it outside his box. So let's just be real. There's no point rating him. Absolutely terrible. Well, we can rate David Raya. Golden Glove, clean sheets, joint now, of course, with, Matt Sells. David Raya, for me, in the first few months, I thought was outstanding. The double save against Villa, the double save against Atalanta, I thought he was one of the best performers consistently. And do you know what? I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 because I do think he deserves it. I do. I think he's been great, if I'm honest. Maybe he deserves an 8 out of 10, to be honest, because I think he has been one of the best. But of late, I just don't think his mind's been quite in it. So I'll give him a 7. Then we come to the defenders. William Saliba. If I'm honest with you, I don't think has been as outstanding as the last 2 years. I think he's been very good, but I don't think he has been outstanding like some. But I'll give him a 7, likewise, because he is one of our best players, if not our most important player. When it comes to defending, I think he complements whoever partners is next to him. And I feel like there's so much casual composure and calmness around this game that it just fills me with confidence when he's on the ball, when he's on the pitch. Whenever the ball's coming over at the Emirates era, I've had, oh no, it's Scalacci. Oh no, it's Senderos. Oh no, it's Sylvester. Oh, it's Mustafi. Now I don't get that. And that's one of the reasons why. Saliba has been really good for Arsenal since he's started wearing a shirt. I'll give him a 7 because I don't think he's been a 9 or an 8. I think he's been games where he's given the ball away a few times, become a little bit sloppy. And some of the games at home, defensively, we've been really bad this season. Like, we just seem to be dropping points at home and dropping games at home and going out of cups at home. And I can't sit there and give our defence, any of them, an 8 or 9 or a 10 because I don't think it's fair, if I'm honest, to do that. So that's Saliba. Kieran Tierney's next. I've just spoken about him. I can't give him any more than a 6 out of 10. Anytime he's been called upon, he's done well. Whether it be at left back, or at left wing, I'll give him a 6. That's what I will do. Next, we've got Ben White. Now, Ben White, to be fair to him, he actually started at right back with Timber at left back, and it looked pretty solid against games at Villa and Manchester City. I always remember that little bit of shithousery Ben White delivered against John McGinn, where he just smashed the ball at him. And I'll always love him for his shithousery. And I think Ben White this season's had a tough one with injuries. I think we do miss sometimes his overlapping, I will say that, but I don't think we've missed him due to how good Jurriën Timber has been. So I'll give Ben White a 6 this season. I don't think he's been able to be fit enough to give him much higher than that. I don't think he's had a run of consistent performances, but when he has been called upon in an Arsenal shirt, he's done fairly well. So that's big up to Ben White. I hope he does get back into the England side. It sounds like Tuchel wants to give him a chance. So yeah, for me, Ben White, I think he still has a future at Arsenal. Let's talk about Gabriel next. Very close to being player of the season for me. I think he's been outstanding. Goals from set pieces, we miss it when he's not there. I think it's a massive shame that he got injured. And big up to Kivior for coming in, but he isn't Gabriel. Threats offensively and defensively from corners and set pieces, I think Gabriel is absolutely phenomenal. I think he's one of the best. I've been seeing people do teams of the season and they've been putting him in there. Whether or not you believe he deserves to be in there, he definitely deserves a mention. I'm going to give him an 8 because I do think Gabriel's probably been one of our best players. And I've got to say, I love him. I think he would be my captain. Yes, ahead of Rice. He's the one who's vocal. He's the communicator. He's the one grabbing hold of Haaland. He's the one barking orders. He's the one going in front of the referee and asking him what's what. I think Gabriel deserves a massive, massive mention this season. And do you know what? It's a big shame that he got that injury like he did. But again, he was overplayed. We had the warning signs last season of how much football he played, and we tried to get him through another full season without any cover. We played him in a 7-1 game against PSV. I have absolutely no idea why. And unfortunately, he came off just before the Real Madrid game. I can't remember what game it was now. It was one of the midweek games. Was it Crystal Palace? Something like that. He got injury in the evening game, and I was just like, nah, this is going to be bad news. This is going to be bad news. So Gabriel, I give an 8. I think he's close to being one of our players of the season. I think he's been sensational, to be fair. Sensational. Just like this next guy, Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney, player of the season for me. I'm going to give him a 9. I think this guy is a machine. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's consistent. He gives 110%. Defensively, he's great. Offensively, he's good. Very comfortable on the football. Has been versatile, whether he's playing at centre-back, left-back, or naturally as a right-back. I don't think there's been a game where I've looked at him and thought, yuck. And I've done that with quite a lot of Arsenal players in the last couple of years because everyone has bad games, right? When Timber has a bad game, it's like a 6. It's not a 3 or a 2. I think Timber probably should deserve the most respect of any player so far this season because he's come back off the back of an ACL injury that kept him out for the majority of last season. The confidence must have been knocked. The fact that he was actually in a position to even be spoken about playing this much football after that is crazy. So for me, I have to say that I think he is my player of the season for Arsenal. I think he gets into the team of the season. He, for me, is a definite right back, along with the likes of Vola Aina, along with the likes of Daniel Munoz, along with the likes of Trent. I think for me, he deserves to be the right back this season because I think he's been the most consistent. He's gone alongside with the defensive duties. He's obviously kept the most clean sheets for the Golden Glove for David Raya. He's been a massive part of that. So I'm going to say that I am going to go with a 9. He, for me, Kieran Tierney, Arsenal's player of the season. We come to Jacob Kiwior next. And I think with, I always call him Jacob Kiwior because it's the English version of Jakob Kiwior, which is, I think, how you're supposed to say it. But with Kiwior, I feel like he was someone that we'd all forgotten about because he wasn't playing enough. And then Gabriel got injured and we realised when you play him at left-sided centre-back, you actually get an all right squad player. And I will say this. I don't feel personally like we've really respected him enough in the last couple of months. Because when you come in for Gabriel and you don't miss Gabriel defensively, you must have done something right. I don't think there's been one game where I think, if only Gabriel was there because he was so crap that game, Kiwior. I think he's done all right. I've missed his set pieces like I've mentioned, but I think Kiwior's done well. I think he has. I'm going to give him a 6.5 because I feel like when we have called upon him, he's done well. When you play that well home and away against Real Madrid and when you do what he's done in PSG's games, I thought he was better than Saliba. In the Premier League games, I don't think he's put a foot wrong, really. And the only reason I'm not giving him higher is because I can only judge him on a few games at the back end of the season. I think he's done well. Now, whether Jacob Kiwior is going to be staying here or whether he's going to be going, I think he's proven he can be a squad player here as a left-sided centre-back. And if there is not a reason for him to be leaving, I'll be quite happy if he stayed as cover. I don't want him playing 15 to 20 games in every single season or playing most of the time ahead of Gabriel. But for me, I think he's proven he can be back up. Now, if he wants first team football and there's Italian clubs interested, I think he probably will end up going for around 20 to 25 million. But that means we've got our money back, if not more, and he's done his job. I will say this, I think it probably is more than likely that he's going to leave. And we might need to go and get somebody like Joel Harto to replace him. But I do feel like Kiwior deserves to be respected in the last couple of months. If you remember last season, he was playing quite a lot, but he was actually at left back. And there was times where he got skinned. But there were times he played pretty well. He's wanted to play first team. And if I'm honest with you, yeah, I've got to be honest. I don't feel like Kiwior deserves a low score because of that, if I'm honest. So, yeah. Let me know in the chat what your thoughts are. Give your kind of ratings. Let me know. And let me know if you agree or disagree with where I'm going with these numbers because that's where I'm at. So, yeah. Nearly there with defenders. We've still got a few more, believe it or not, because we've got quite a lot of defenders, haven't we? Zinchenko. Let's go with Zinchenko. Zinchenko's performances this season when he has played have actually been better in midfield. I think he was in midfield today. He's come on in midfield a couple of times and looked pretty good. Why? Because on the ball, he's pretty good technically. Defensively, he's the disaster. And I think Mikel Arteta has realised that now. He was pivotal for that kind of period in the 2022-2023 season where he was inverting. Other than that, I've got to be honest, it weren't great. Defensively, he's been done quite a few times. But this season, he's rarely played there. When he has played there, he hasn't been too much of a shambles. I'll give him a 5 because I don't really think Zinchenko's lit up the place when he has come on. He's certainly not been bad, but he hasn't been used or utilised enough, in my opinion. And when he has been, it hasn't been an outstanding game where you think, wow, he's now held down that position. So for me, I can't really say that he's got more than a 5 out of 10, Zinchenko. It's been quite poor in parts. Tomiyasu, well, let's not even bother. The guy's played 6 minutes. If I can give a minus score, I would, but I just won't bother rating him. Like Neto, there's just no point. It's been pathetic. Let's move to Ricardo Calafiori. 5. And I'll tell you why. 2 goals. That's why he's got a 5, not lower. Injury prone, scatty on the ball, positionally dreadful. Can't defend from what I can see. Certainly doesn't look like a centre half. All his attributes are going forward. Very confused about this player. That's how I would sum up Calafiori. Headless chicken is what I would say. Needs to calm down, needs to mature, needs to grow into what this league is about. Not impressed with this signing. £40 million so far looks like it's not something that we needed to do in this summer just gone. So that's what I'll give him. The only reason he's got that is because he scored 2 goals. If he didn't score those 2 goals, I actually would have given him lower, which is quite scary. Thomas Partey. I'm giving him an 8. Along with Timber and Gabriel, he's been, in my opinion, the best. I think David Raya was close to getting it, if he would have continued his performances. But the reason he scores lower than the other 3 is because I think he's been a bit scatty of late. But Thomas Partey's been our best midfielder. He's been our most consistent player. I think he's proven why we're going to miss him if he does go. I would be doing all I can to keep him on a contract now. I don't know why we're not trying to give him, what he needs just to keep him for another couple of years, because the performances have proven consistently that he's needed. And whenever we take him out of that midfield, as we did today, you can just see we just don't look like we have control of it. Declan Rice, I love him in the 6 as well, but I feel like him and Partey are needed in there together. I feel like the future should have been for Rice to have been that kind of number 6, but it looks like he's our future box to box, which I'm okay with, but I think he's better as a 6 still. I think his attributes allow that. But Thomas Partey is better than him, and he has been for the last 5 years, in my opinion. So I'm giving Thomas Partey an 8. And if he can continue, touch wood, to get the level of fitness required, I don't know how we can't keep him. 200 grand a week, let's keep him on another year with another option. It's got to be done. Thomas Partey has to stay at Arsenal. It's just, in my opinion, there's no debate. It has to happen. So that's Thomas Partey. Martin Odegaard. Oh, do I want to do it? Okay. The reason I won't give him lower than this is because of his injury. I'll give him a 5. And that's being kind. Very kind. I think he's been our worst player this season. In terms of how many games he's started, I can't think I can even give him a 5. I think I have to give him a 4. I'm really sorry, Martin. I don't think he's shown leadership qualities. I don't think he's shown that he could be a captain. I don't think he's shown any terms of technically gifted quality. I don't think he's provided enough goals or assists. I don't think he's been the creative spark. I don't think he's been the guy to drag us through games. Yeah, I'm struggling, ain't I? How can I give him anything but a 4? He's been our most disappointing. I can't say that I'm impressed by his performances at all. So I'm going to give him a 4. Sorry, people. I am. I'm going to give him a 4. And yeah, people in the chat are saying I'm being generous. I don't want to have to do this, but I am going to say he's been the most disappointing. So Martin Odegaard gets a 4, people. Who's next? Jorginho. Do you know what? I'll give him a 5. I wish him all the best. He's come in for £12 million. He's done what's required for £12 million, which is rotation, which is balance in midfield, tempo, great passing ability, Can play the double pivot with Rice against Man City and Liverpool last season. He was our best player. I've been very, very impressed. Very impressed with Jorginho, because I thought I was laughed when we signed him. I thought, what are we doing there? We're supposed to be getting Caicedo. But I have been impressed because he's done his job. So fair play. Fair play. That's where I'm at with Jorginho. Mikel Merino. Okay. I could probably give him 2 ratings. Mourinho in midfield and Mourinho as a striker. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to merge them together. In midfield, 4. It's been a poor signing. He's not done what's required. He's not taken us to the new level. He's not upgraded on Granit Xhaka. And it has been pretty disastrous as a midfielder. From a striker's point of view and hold-up play, I'm going to give him a 7. Because I actually feel like he's improved Saka and Martinelli when he has played in that position. He's got his head on the ball to win us games. He's actually provided some physical attributes that we haven't had up there for some time. And I think he definitely did replace Kai Havertz, which means I'm probably going to give him an average of 6, because I don't think that he can get any more than that, really. 5.56 for Merino. I don't think that he's been a good signing, but he probably has been our best signing. That's how bad the summer was. So I'm going to give him a 5.5 to 6 for Merino. I don't think I can give him higher than that. Declan Rice. I've got to be honest, in the first 3-4 months, I thought he was one of the most disappointing. Playing with broken toe, fitness wasn't there, struggled to get into back to fitness from England duties. I didn't feel like there was any run of consistent games. I didn't feel like he could actually hold down a position in that midfield position. And then step forward the Real Madrid game. On top of that, he had good performances against Manchester United at Old Trafford, PSV. I thought he was excellent. The Real Madrid game onwards, I think he's been one of Arsenal's best, most consistent players. I'm only going to give him a... No, I'm not. I'm going to give him a 7 for the free kicks, if I'm honest. I wouldn't want to give him more than a 6. You guys in the chat are being kind as well. 7.5, 7s, 6s. I think, to be honest with you, there's definitely enough in the last few months to allow Declan Rice to be given a 7. The 2 free kick goals are 2 of the best free kicks I've ever seen at the Emirates. The second one is the best free kick I've ever seen at the Emirates. And I've seen some good free kicks. In fact, I think it's the best free kick that Arsenal have ever scored, if I'm honest. Because of who it was against, the moment of how important it was incredible. So yeah, for me, I have to say, Declan Rice, 7. Fair play, 7. Who's next on the list? We have got the forwards. Bukayo Saka. Okay. I love this kid, man. I've got to say it. I love this kid. And I felt sorry for him this season. Because for the best part of 4 or 5 seasons, between the ages of around 18 and upwards, he has carried Arsenal across games, through games, made negative seasons positive, brought joy to people's game and entertainment factor when they've gone to the Emirates and away from home and watched Arsenal. The guy's been phenomenal. And if I'm honest with you, I think this season, it's changed my opinion about who the best player at Arsenal is. I thought it was Saliba, but I think it is Saka. Because I've seen Arsenal with and without players, and we look absolutely nowhere near on it when Saka's out. So I'm going to give him a 7 because of his level of importance. He's not had the best season due to a long-term injury. He's not come back from it looking 100% himself, but he's still in games. He's still scoring goals. He's still creating. He's still assisting. He's still brilliant with his moments that people forget about. Who was fouled in the first instance of both the free kicks Declan Rice scored from? That's massive, playing a part in these games. He was the best player in the wingers that we had on the pitch that night. Rodrigo, Vini Jr., Mbappe. Saka was better than them all. I have to say it. I think he's unbelievable. I just love him. And I hope that he has a nice rest now. He deserves it. And let's hope that we can actually prove that we can get the best out of Saka next season. Gabriel Jesus, I can't give him any more than a 5. The injuries have been there again. I feel sorry for him, but it's time for him to go. He's been crocked again. When you have this amount of knee injuries, your time is done. You're never going to reach that level again. He did make some things happen. He got a hat-trick against Crystal Palace. I think he scored a couple of goals against them in the Carabao Cup as well. But other than that, throughout the season, he was pretty poor and has been non-existent for the majority of it since. So for me, I don't think you can give him more than a 5, and I don't think there's enough, much more to be said. Martinelli and Trossard, let's come to them next. Let's start with Gabby Martinelli. 8 goals, one of the top scorers at the club. That shows how bad it's been. Inconsistent, much better second half. I like to see him through the middle more, but I want to see him with better players around him in the attack in front. I'm going to give him a 6 because I don't think it's been a shambles. He's certainly been probably under par for what we'd expect, but I can't say that he's been one of the worst players. There's been disappointing moments. There's been good moments. To score 8 goals, he's done something right, but I can't give him higher than that. Trossard, again, disappointing. Not been quite the same since he did that celebration early on against Villa, which was basically, I should be starting. And I think the performances up until then have proven that he can't be starting. He's more of an impact sub. And I think if we are going to keep him and put him on a deal, I think that he probably will be in a position where he'll become a squad player. And that's why I'm not 100% certain that it will sign, because I think he wants guaranteed minutes. At his age of hitting 30 now, he wants to be playing as much football as he can. And maybe he needs to go and have another challenge over in Saudi Arabia or go elsewhere. But I would also give him a 6. I don't think he's been anywhere near good enough consistently this season. So both of them get a 6, and you can see why we need to be looking at a left winger. And the last 2 players are Kai Havertz and Raheem Sterling. Let's start with Kai Havertz. 9 goals this season. A stat which will probably surprise and worry you, which my good friend Albert sent to me. Arsenal's top goal scorer in the Premier League this season with 9 goals is Kai Havertz. It's the first time since 1923-24 that the Gunners haven't had a player score 10 league goals in a campaign. That is shambolic. Kai Havertz, for £65 million and 290k a week, I can't give him any more than a 6 out of 10. And maybe that's being kind. It's only because he's our top scorer. The guy missed from 3 yards. The guy missed from a few yards. In fact, let me give him less than that, man. I can't give him a 6. I'm being way too kind there. I'm getting way too kind there. I'll give him a 4.5. Because he's been bad. He's been bad. Let's just say it how it is. He's been bad. I'm trying to be kind. I don't know why. I can't give him more than that. Yeah, I can't give him more than that. He should get a 4, 4, 4. Yeah, we're getting 4s. Let's go with that. He's been poor. And he is probably going to go down, in my opinion, as the worst Arteta signing, along with Fabi Vieira, because of how much it cost and how much money he's on. And the fact now that we're in a position that we are struggling to look at what striker we're bringing in, because this guy can't sit on the bench. If he dares drop him in midfield next season, or he dares starts him over others, I'm sorry. I ain't having it. I do not want to be seeing Kai Havertz starting for Arsenal next season as a striker. I can't. So yeah, he gets that for me. Can't give him higher. And Raheem Sterling, if I'm honest with you, I went mental when we signed him. Turns out that I weren't wrong. This has been a 2 out of 10. It's the worst deadline signing that we could have made. It's an embarrassment. He's worse than Willian. He's worse than Jorginho. He's worse than Kim Kallstrom. He's worse than Yaya Sanogo. This is one of the worst signings we could have made. And I'm not doing these extreme -5 ratings. I'm just giving him a 2, and I'll tell you why. 1, for turning up every week, and 2, for managing to put the ball in the back of the net once or twice. Done. That's it. He has been horrific. Awful. He's done, even today, looked terrible. He's dusted. He's finished. He's gone back to Chelsea. It's an embarrassment for him. Absolute embarrassment. And I look at the players in this squad that are out on loan. Carl Hein coming back. Nuno Tavares is going. Fabi Vieira coming back. Lokonga coming back. Nelson coming back. Marquinhos coming back. These are players we've somehow got to find a home for. Marquinhos, I'm sure, will find a home in Brazil. Reece Nelson will probably go on loan somewhere in the Prem. Lokonga will probably go on loan somewhere in the Prem. Fabi Vieira will probably go back on loan to Porto. Tavares is going to Lazio. Carl Hein will go somewhere on loan. We're not getting any money for these players. You know, it's mad. Like, I want to be taking money for these players, but I don't think that we're going to be able to. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. So that's that. Player ratings. Let's take a look at the final Premier League table, the way that it's finished. I think it's interesting to go through some of these clubs at the moment to see where we're at. Liverpool, champions today, probably made everybody feel a bit sick, but let's be real. It's been so long that we've known that now. Salah top scorer, Isak and Haaland behind that. Liverpool on 84, 10 points ahead of Arsenal, who finished 3 points ahead of Manchester City. And then it has been confirmed now that Chelsea and Newcastle join Manchester City in the Champions League, with Villa and Forest just missing out. And I believe Brighton, who have now confirmed European football through the Conference League, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is what's happening now. Very confusing, isn't it, that you basically finish in the top half now and you better play Europe, which is crazy. And add to the fact Tottenham now play in the Champions League on top of that as well. That means there's 6 teams next season that are going to be in the Champions League. And that'll be very interesting to see out of those 6, how many of them get into that top 16. So that will be very, very interesting. Brighton are not in Europe. Okay. Apologies, people. I must have got that wrong then. So Conference League is now for Forest. Okay, that makes sense. Good. Because I don't want 8 or 9 teams in Europe. It's just ridiculous, to be honest. So that's that. Look, let's go through this very quickly. Not about how it's finished, because we can see it there. Let's go through where we're at. Liverpool, they are going to spend. There's reports that Florian Wirtz could be on his way. There's reports that Kirkes and, on top of that, Jeremy Frimpong will be the new fullbacks at Liverpool. There's also reports that Adam Wharton is massively targeted and could be on his way. And there's also reports that they want a number 9. If they are to get that done, Liverpool, for me, would be huge favourites. Huge favourites, again, for the Premier League. On top of the fact that they're going to keep Van Dijk and Salah, who I think are definitely more important to Liverpool than Trent, they could easily win the league again and go back-to-back. If they get those players in. They will need to. They will need to. That's for sure. Then we come to Arsenal. We'll come to us last. Manchester City are going to spend. They are looking at fullbacks. They're looking at a goalkeeper. They're looking at midfielders, and they're looking at wingers. They are going to spend 2, 3, maybe even 400 million, because that is what Manchester City do. So if I'm honest with you, I expect Manchester City and Liverpool to be going for the title next season, along with Arsenal, of course. Then we come to Chelsea. Chelsea, believe it or not, are going to spend. They're going to go and get a striker. They're going to go and get a winger. They're going to go and get a defender. They're going to go and get a goalkeeper. Chelsea, I don't think have got enough to go for a title, but they could challenge next season until around February time if they got everything going their way. I think they could be a threat in the next few years if they get things right with their transfer business and get a winning manager who's better than Maresca. That's what I think. So Chelsea will spend. Newcastle, they're going to go massive in the summer. They're going to keep hold of Isak and Bruno G and Tonali and Gordon, and they're going to go all they can to get as many players in as they can. And to be honest with you, I don't actually think they need 7, 8, 9 players. I think 5 or 6 players could be realistically enough to give them a real good title charge next season. I don't think they'll win the league, but I think they could challenge. Getting in a goalkeeper, getting in a centre-half, getting in a fullback, getting in a creative midfielder, bringing in a right winger and a backup striker is all they need to allow their squad to be able to compete on 4 fronts. And I don't think they're miles away. When you look at a 1 to 11, Newcastle players can actually compete with quite a lot. Yeah. If they get the right goalkeeper in and a defender to partner Sven Botman, they've got Lewis Hall and Livramento at fullbacks. They've got good cover with Trippier and Dan Burn and these guys. And then obviously in midfield, Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno, yeah, they might need one or two. They've got Miley and Willock, but they might need one more. If Brian and Buemo or Kudus was to go on that right-hand side with Murphy as cover, Gordon and Barnes on the other left-hand side, and somebody like Jonathan David to come in on a free to back up Isak, Newcastle have got a squad all of a sudden. So I expect them to spend big. Yes, people, I'm predicting a huge summer transfer window. Aston Villa. I think everybody knows that Aston Villa defensively needs to sort it out. Look at their goal difference compared to everybody else's. It's absolutely pathetic. They're conceding too many goals. They might need to score more, but I don't think that that's the problem. With Watkins and the guys they've got on loan with Rashford, Asensio, Donny Marlon, all these guys that are coming in, I think they've got a brilliant midfield. I think Rodgers and Tielemans have been outstanding for them. I'm a big fan of Kamara. I think they've got good cover with Onana, and they've still got players like Buendia and Barkley and these guys that are coming through. But they have to sort it out defensively. Konsa's only really the one there that I think can actually hold his head up high. Matty Cash needs upgrading. Their right back needs to sort it out. I've never been a huge lover of Pau Torres. I think he's all right, but I don't go wow. Left backs, they've got a couple, but let's be real. They need to look at a back line there that, is solid. And I think they leak too many goals, Aston Villa. But I do expect them to spend. Nottingham Forest will spend. Marinakis is definitely an ambitious owner, and he will give them the money that they need to spend. I don't know what their sort of type of targets will be, but I imagine, like they have done already, they'll go for players in and around the Prem and just outside of it, and then come in to take them to the next level. Brighton, who are they going to keep hold of? We say this every single season, don't we? Is Baleba going to stay there? Is Matoma going to stay there? Is João Pedro going to stay there? If they do, and they add to it with another summer, then Brighton could be in and around there again. Bournemouth, what's happening with them? Iraola, is he going to stay as the manager? Who's staying at Bournemouth? Kirkes looks like he could be on his way out. Dean Howson has gone to Real Madrid. Semenyo is being linked with moves away. I think Shabani is a really good centre-half as well. Is he going to be able to be kept at Bournemouth? What are they going to do? What sort of summer are they going to have? We believe there's serious money at Bournemouth, so I imagine they probably will be looking, if they can, to spend. Brentford, are they going to keep Brian and Buemu and Visser? They've been two fantastic signings for them, and if I'm honest with you, this season have been really good together. I think their kind of stats have said it all, really. They've been very high scoring. Brentford have been excellent at home. Or is it away? I can't even remember. Actually, it might be away that they're excellent at. Their record's been great. And they're a team I've always had a lot of time and respect for. I think what Thomas Frank has done there has been fantastic. Fulham, I'm actually surprised to see them this low down. I thought Fulham were excellent this season in times. And I think when you look at their strike situation, it's not great. Other than a striker, they've actually got some good players. I like a lot of them. And a lot of people say they're Arsenal 2.0 with Smith Rowe and Nelson and Iwobi and Leno. I understand why. I think Leno has been excellent for them. I think that Nelson was doing well until his injury. Smith Rowe has been fairly inconsistent from what I can work out. And Iwobi has actually been one of their better players. I think he's been excellent for Fulham this season. They need a striker and a couple of cover players if they really want to take it to the next level. But a shout out to Marco Silva. Crystal Palace, if I'm honest with you, at one stage I thought they could push for Europe, and then they decided to do the best thing, and that's go to the FA Cup and get European football that way as well. So that's another team that's going to be playing in Europe this season. Wow, it's quite incredible, isn't it? There's about 8 or 9 teams that are in the Premier League playing European football. Absolutely crazy. But big up to Palace for their FA Cup win. I've got to be honest, if I'm looking at 11s that I'd like to look at taking, I think they've got some excellent players. I think Mark Guehi and Maxence Lacroix have been unbelievable as a partnership. I'm a big fan of Daniel Munoz and Tariq Mitchell. Adam Wharton's wanted by many clubs. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I think Eberici Eze is one that I would 100% take at Arsenal, and Mateta's been phenomenal this season for them. So fair play to Palace. They've got a really good 11, and they need to concentrate now on how they can try to keep their players, but also branch out to try and get a few to bring in some squad players. I think their scouting has been phenomenal from the Championship. We've already seen what Elise and Eze and obviously Roman S and some of the other guys they've brought in, Adam Wharton, have all brought in. So for me, I think it's interesting to see where Palace go next under Glasner. Everton finishing in 13th under David Moyes. Do you know what? Fair play to Moyesy. He's come in and he's taken over from Sean Dyche, and he's actually raised Everton's levels. He's cleared them from relegation. He's actually allowed them to finish above the likes of West Ham, United and Spurs. Fair play to Moyesy. I think, for him to actually finish above West Ham is actually quite ironic, to be honest, because I think their fans treated him like shit. I've got to be honest with you. From a manager that gave him consistent European football, to look at the state of him since they got rid of him. Crazy. Then we come to West Ham. I've got to be honest. I think Graham Potter is the right guy to take them forward. I think that I've seen enough to see that his play is actually a lot better to what they were doing under Lopetegui, and I think he deserves another season. I do think they're going to have to look at David Sullivan now and ask the question, what are you doing? Because I don't think they had a bad summer, but I don't think they were ever going to finish in the top 5, top 6 like some people had them. They've been nowhere near good enough. Jared Bowen is basically the player that gets them out of trouble each weekend. And if they lost him, I think they'd be seriously struggling. Then we come to Manchester United. Oh, my goodness. What has happened to Manchester United? Well, unfortunately, it's been years of bad ownership from top to bottom. The neglect of the Glazers has been embarrassing. They're now getting none of the heat because it's now on Ineos. They're laughing. It's fair enough saying they've spent money, but look at the areas it's been spent in. And I have to say again, when you laugh at Chelsea for spending £1 billion, this Manchester United squad is 1.3 or 1.4 billion. It is scary. There is literally 5 or 6 players that I think are good enough to take them back to the top 4, let alone a title. I think some of the youngsters look fairly promising. Amad Diallo looks their best player. I do think Kobbie Mainoo is a good player. I think Ledy Yoro will be good one day. I think they've got other players that will give 110%. I don't think Dallo or Mazraoui are the kind of problems at Manchester United. I think Bruno gets them goals and gets them across the line. But really and truly, they have a little bit of a mismatch of a puzzle. They don't really have a good enough spine. They don't really have a good enough core. They don't really have a good enough culture at the club still. And there's only so much I can do to look at Amorim and say it's the players, because I haven't seen any improvement since he's come in. So there's going to be a very, very long few seasons for us, for Manchester United. Then we come to Wolves, and I've got to say, actually, Pereira's come in, and I don't think Wolves have been spoken about in relegation once or twice since he's taken over. They've not even been spoken about because they knew that he would be clear, and I think he has improved them. Wolves need to do what they always need to do, and that's try to replace the players they're going to lose. Nouri's being mentioned as moving out. So is Cunha. They're probably going to lose 1 or 2 others, and they have to try and replace that. And to be fair to Wolves, I think they've been quite a steady set for the Premier League. There's been times they flirted with going down this season, but I always felt like they would probably have enough, and that the 3 championship clubs that come up were probably always going to go back down. Then we come to Tottenham Hotspur. Oh my goodness. How can a team win the Europa League, get Champions League football, and finish 17th? It really is quite astounding. It's absolutely embarrassing, in fact. I never had Tottenham, West Ham, or Manchester United anywhere near the top 4 this season, but I certainly didn't have them near the bottom 4. It is quite embarrassing and astounding that we have got these 3 teams that have spent an unbelievable amount of money that have actually genuinely been flirting with relegation if you go off other seasons. Look at the state of the points: 42 points, 38 points. That just about keeps you safe in a few others. 38 points, years ago would have got you relegated because 40 points was the safe zone. Tottenham could have got relegated this season. How can you lose 22 games or 21 games or whatever? Is it 22 they've lost? Yeah. 22 games lost. That is an embarrassment. And then we come to the 3 teams: Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton. Now, Southampton have been embarrassing this season. Ipswich actually gave it a good go, and in the transfer market did some good business with Liam Delap and some of the others, but they were never quite consistent enough. And Leicester, if I'm honest, at times played some of the worst football in the league. They've been 3 really embarrassing teams. And if I'm honest with you, the 3 that have coming up now, Sunderland, Leeds, and Burnley, have just got to try not to be that bad, because it has been nowhere near good enough. The relegation was pretty much done in November, December, really, when you look at it. They just weren't good enough ever. They never got going. There was never a chance for them to sneak it. And I just felt like it was so obvious that they were 3 of them were going down. So you can't sit there and tell me that they don't deserve to be going down back to the Premier League. The Championship, should I say. And I think it will be interesting to see what the 3 clubs do since they've come up. Sunderland, Burnley, and Leeds. At the moment, I'm just going to be honest and say that they haven't done enough for me to prove that they have quality in the Premier League over some of the others. So they need to sort out their transfer windows. I'm going to leave it at this with Arsenal. Arsenal know what they've got to do. Arsenal need to go and sign Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal need to go and sign Rodrigo. Arsenal need to go and sign Eze. Arsenal need to go and sign Zubimendi. Arsenal need to go and get Yoel Harto, and Arsenal need to go and get a backup goalkeeper. And if they do and can get a Brian and Buemo on top of that, or somebody that's going to give us a little bit of Saka cover on top, then fair play. But for me right now, the positions that I want to be seeing coming in after Zubimendi's announced, which they believe is our first signing, is a left winger and a striker, and it has to be Rodrigo and Gyökeres. Not Jamie Gittins, not Williams, not anybody of that bracket, not Sesko or Jonathan David or João Pedro, Gyökeres. Yeah, that's what I want to be seeing. I do not need to see names that I've not heard of unless they're squad players. If Berta's bringing in a backup defender and a backup goalkeeper, fine by me. That I've not heard of, fine by me. But if we're bringing in somebody to start that's 20 that I ain't heard of, that's from Brazil, who's going to be good in 5 years, tap me out. Arsenal know what they need to do. Fans know, the club knows, the staff know, the manager must know. Berta, I am sure, will know. I cannot see Arsenal going into the market and ending up with players that are simply nowhere near the level of what we've already got. So when people say to me, should we sell Martinelli? Yeah, can do if you want. Who are you bringing in? Another Martinelli? Just keep Martinelli. If somebody says to me, should we get rid of Trossard? Should we get rid of Jesus? Should we sell Havertz? Yeah, we should. But who's coming in? Because if you're selling Havertz and getting Sesko, or if you're selling Martinelli and getting Williams, or if you're selling Sterling or Jesus and you're bringing in, I don't know, Gittins, I don't think that's a huge upgrade of squad. I need to be seeing Arsenal going into the market seriously, quickly, and getting these players across the line. Because do not believe that these clubs are all going to say yes to Arsenal. They're going to look at Newcastle. They're going to look at Chelsea. They're going to look at Liverpool. They're going to look at Manchester City. This isn't Arsenal are now ahead of everybody. Berta's here and he's going to get everybody to the club. Berta's got an unbelievable pulling technique, I'm sure, and the experienced head's there. But we need to do this quickly. I don't think Sesko's the guy. Some people do. If it's Sesko, I'll give him a chance. But I'm not going to be excited like I would Gyökeres. I'm not going to be excited with Nico Williams like I would Rodrigo, but of course I'll give him a chance. I'm kind of fully aware now that Mikel Arteta isn't good enough to win us the trophies that's required at this club. So it's the Cronkies that I got my foot on the neck of. I'm not Arteta out anymore. I'm not. I'm Cronky out unless they sort this out. Get to the end of this season and we win nothing again. I want these owners gone. So last chance saloon for Mikel. Last chance for Cronkies to prove they can do the right thing. No pressure, in my opinion, on Berta because I think he's already got an unbelievable CV and experienced head. But I need him to have a little bit of pressure on his job in terms of getting deals across the line, which is what I think he'll do anyway. But what I mean by no pressure is it's not like, right, we've had a poor window, Bertie, you're going to get sacked. There's going to be a few, man. So, yeah, I've got to be honest. I'm a little bit disappointed with some of the reactions of the fan base, if I'm honest. I'm disappointed. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated that we finished trophyless. It doesn't seem like many other people are. It seems like it's just, well, what do you expect? We had injuries. What do you expect? The refs hate us. What do you expect? There's red cards. What do you expect? We haven't got a good enough squad. What do you expect? It's Arteta's first job. I don't think that should be acceptable at Arsenal Football Club, personally. I do not understand why people believe that is just the way that it is. We should be winning trophies. Now, people have said to me, why do you expect to win the Premier League? I don't expect to win the Premier League. I didn't have Arsenal to win the Premier League. I had Arsenal to finish second place and win a domestic trophy this season. I had Arsenal to finish in around the quarters or semis of the Champions League, which is where we did finish actually in the semi-finals. I didn't expect Arsenal to win that. I didn't expect Arsenal to win the Premier League, but I would have actually taken a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup alongside coming second. My minimum expectation is to win a trophy and come within touching distance of the Premier League next season. That is my minimum expectation. I think that's realistic. I think that's more than fair. I don't think that is me saying, go do a treble or get out, Mikel. Now, a lot of the fan base are saying Mikel Arteta needs to win a Premier League or a Champions League, or he's got to go. Fine, that's how you see it. You see it differently to me. I'm looking at a minimum expectation. Win me a trophy. If it ain't the Premier League, we come second and take whoever wins it to the wire, and we win a Champions League or one of the domestic cups alongside it. That is your minimum expectation for me. If you don't do that and you go out of everything and you come second again, or even lower, third, or whatever, it has to be goodbye. It has to be goodbye. And if they don't and they keep him again, then it's Kroenke out. I mean, it really is quite simple. I don't know how it's not black and white. I mean, I'm Kroenke out already. I can't stand them. I hate them. They've got no ambition. They don't want to win at this club. If they do, prove that even more so by keeping someone who's not good enough. And next season he doesn't win something again. I really don't know how he can stick up for it. I really don't. Last couple of super chats before we close. Ali D says, big up, Dan. Pathetic how this manager has treated KT. He's our best left back and he's been treated like dirt. Good luck to him at Celtic. I made a big speech about it earlier and I stand by every word I said. And Ali, I stand by every word that you said. And I wanted to end on this. A positive. The women's team are more serious. Big up to you girls, because I tell you what, you just saved a little bit of an embarrassing season for us by winning the champs. Because the seriousness of that team, fair play. I didn't see that happening. I didn't think they'd beat Barcelona, one of the best. But for me, fair play. Absolutely exceptional from them yesterday. Loved it. So well done to the girls. Well done to them. They deserve every single bit of praise, all the plaudits that they get. Superb. So that's where I'm at. And, you know, Renee, she's come in and she's done that over Jonas, who obviously had gone. So I've got to be honest, I was a big fan of it. And fair play, because it ain't easy to do that. Trust me, it ain't easy. And we all know it ain't easy. So, yeah, I have to say fair play. It's been quite something this season. It's been embarrassing in parts. It's been disappointing. Some will look at it as positives because they always like that. Some of the fans will tell us that we got to 2 semi-finals. Some of the fans will tell us that those 2 semi-finals that, you know, were backed up with second place. Well, semi-finals means you're a loser and second place means you're a loser. So I really do not know how you could be in a position to say that it's been a great season. We have regressed. We haven't progressed. We haven't been anywhere near good enough, in my opinion. And if I'm honest, I'm kind of frustrated that there are fans out there that believe this is good enough. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Listen, go and do me a favor now. Go and spam Wolfie's chat, because he thought Champions League Forest were going to be up for their 3rd star next season. He thought they were definitely getting Champions League, and they didn't. So go and spam his chat with a load of laughing faces. Say, Dan Potts raid, where's your 3rd star? Dan Potts raid, where's your 3rd star? ? We're out of here, people. Enjoy it. We'll see you tomorrow evening for Race for Europe. Laters.